Hey gamers, today on Zen RP, we're going to be talking about the basics. What is a role playing game and why you should try? A role playing game is a game where you take on any persona that you want to play in a fictional setting described by a game master. It's usually played with 2 to 5 players and one game master. The players work cooperatively together to solve problems, and you can use all sorts of logical techniques, if then reasoning, um, improvised social interactions, and creative problem solving to solve problems presented to you by the game master. The game master facilitates the play by the players and creates challenges and conflicts for the players on their way to attempting to achieve their outcomes. The group will have group goals, and individual players can have individual goals. Sometimes individual goals may come into conflict with either the group or other players. That's something to play your way through if and when it happens. The game master facilitates the play for the players by describing the sights, sound, smells, experiences, feelings that the players are having in the game. The game master is also every other character that the players encounter. These are referred to as non-player characters. Now, NPCs can have any starting predisposition towards the players. They can be friendly towards them, neutral towards them, or hostile towards them. And over the course of the interaction, the players will have a chance to move the needle one way or the other, in their favor or against their favor, based on how the players interacted with the NPC. And the game master describes any events that the players are going through to propel the plot forward. The players and the game master are working cooperatively to tell a story that no one player, including the game master, can come to on their own. And a game can be for any ages. Kids can play. In fact, if you've ever watched kids playing puppies, kittens, or My Little Ponies, you've seen a master of role play at work. Adults have a lot that they can learn from kids at role playing. Role playing games don't have to be set in the Tolkien-esque fantasy that you normally see in Dungeons and Dragons. It can be in any setting that the game master and the players can envision and are drawn to. It can be in any intellectual property. If you really like Star Wars or Game of Thrones or Harry Potter or 1950s detective noir or sci-fi detective noir, you can play anywhere, any place, anytime that you can think of. Let your imagination run wild. This is experimental play. Why to play a role-playing game? If you've ever had an interest in seeing the world through somebody else's eyes, occupying somebody else's skin, taking a break from your own self and your own problems, then a role playing game is a good vehicle for you to try. You can think of role playing game as a laboratory for experimental play. You can try creative and new and different things and see if they work. And if they work, if they're successful, these are tools you can draw from and try in real life. You're building a set of foundational tools, skills that you can bring with you into real life. And you can do this in a way to build confidence and to try things without fear of failure or consequence. A role playing game is a cooperative activity between the players and also the game master. And what happens is through co-play, co-creation, you will create something that no one player or the game master could come up with on their own. It becomes its own living thing. It's part of the dynamic, magical thing that happens in role play, and you will find yourself going into places that you never would have planned. This happens all the time as the game master. It's something that you have to embrace and have fun with. It's really the alchemy of role play. When one of my players attaches to a magical speaking bust that's in a magical tower, and really takes the story and runs with it in their own imagination from there. Now, this is something that for me, it was a way for the players to get some information and to add a little texture and an interesting detail. And the player attaches to it and really runs with it and comes up with a whole separate storyline involving that talking bust. And what happens is it allows me to take that little detail that I had put in the game and it becomes a more significant element because a player has connected to it, and it's something that you can use as a tool to keep that player interested in the game and reward them for creative play. If you've ever practiced a job interview with a friend or gone on a practice date with a friend, then you know that these tools can be effective. You can learn skills that you can bring with you into social situations in real life. And you can use this open playground as a way to build skills for a foundation for a better life. Where to play? So, the first and best place to go to is your local game store. Check with your local game store if you have one nearby and see if they have a game night. My game store, Phoenix Fire Games in Meridian, Idaho, has a Thursday night game night. You can show up, it's free to play, and it's catering towards new and returning players to Dungeons and Dragons to familiarize yourself with the rules, to meet some people in the hobby, to find a free table that you can go and practice at. And all you have to do is open up the door, go in, find a table, and introduce yourself. It's as simple as that. If you don't want to leave your home or if you don't have a store nearby, you can use the internet and a virtual tabletop, and going to Roll20 or Foundry, you can find a game to play online almost any time. Lastly, there are conventions. Now, these are scheduled weekend conventions. You buy a ticket and you make travel plans and you stay there and you play role-playing game sessions throughout usually a weekend, and there's a lot of chance to mingle and talk to vendors about products and really go deep in the hobby. So if there's one aspect that you're finding particularly interesting, then you can find that and you can go deep into it at a convention. Thanks for watching Zen RP. Please like and subscribe my video, and don't forget to get out and do the work so you can play your best game. Peace.